Reddit, what is your worst experience of waking up after a one night stand? Please consider subscribing if you enjoy the video. Woke up with no memory of each other, then she began screaming about being late to her grandma's funeral. Dropped her off in a tiny dress, not wearing shoes, still drunk as frick in front of her entire extended family. How can people be in such a hurry and not bother to put shoes on? Did the family look surprised? I woke up to his crazy female roommate vacuuming the hallway outside of his room for over an hour, banging the vacuum into his door over and over again. I guess she was trying to wake us up so I would leave, but we ended up just waking up and having sex while she was vacuuming. She jelly. Was at a local spot a few years back, met this girl who was pretty hot, according to 10 of my closest cocktails. Anyways, chill for a bit, head to her house, smack it as and fall asleep. I woke up and noticed a book bag, etc. School books. Ask her what she's studying and she tells me she goes to the local HS. I'm die a little inside and leave. I ran into her a few weeks later and it turns out she was fricking with me cause she needed me out of the house before her roommates got home. Nothing says good morning like a toddler tugging on the blankets saying, "Mommy, who is that in your bed? Try this one. Is that our new dad? Is that the daddy you said you'd have for the new baby?" Kids, what do we say when you meet a nice man? Are you my daddy? I met a girl at a show that my band was playing at, went back to her place, had sex 3 or 4 times that night, then fell asleep at probably 7 AM. I wake up at about 9 AM, completely disoriented, and hear her boyfriend kissing her saying, "Look like you guys had fun last night." He was apparently watching us the entire time. I didn't even know she had a roommate. Was he dressed up as Superman? She left her wallet open. She was not 18. I ran. We slept in her bed, which was a cot in the kitchen. Clue number 1 to stop drinking so heavily. She woke me up to introduce me to her 3 children. Clue number 2. They were sleeping in the same bed, because the youngest had shat the other bed during the night. Clue number 3. The same bed she told me to hide in when there was a knock on the door at 8 AM. Turned out to be her sister, but still. Clue number 4. She then introduced me to her pet lovebirds. She informed me she would be naming one of them after me. Clue number 5. As I am desperately trying to get the frick out of there, she physically removes the stuffed animal from her youngest's arms to give to me to remember her by. Clue Jesus fricking Christ. I did not take the toy from the now crying toddler. If I hadn't needed a drink so badly after that debacle, I might have given sobriety a shot. Winner. If I hadn't needed a drink so badly after that debacle, I might have given sobriety a shot. Killer quote up. She was actually really cute and she got up to leave, so I just said, "Lock the door behind you," because super hungover. So finally I make my way out of bed and she had taken all of the food in my house along with my blender. Like, how the frick did you pull this off? Was it a nice blender? Define nice. It blended things and didn't leak, so it was a pretty awesome blender. That's all I needed to know. What a bitch. She peed my whole bed with me in it. Had a freaking crazy one night stand right after HS with a teacher's pet girl who I thought always hated me. Was still at my parents' place, so I snuck her in. In the morning my dad came right on into my room to grab my keys to move my car for whatever reason. I was totally naked, half covered, and the girl was tits up still asleep, uncovered. The look I shared with my dad in that moment was kind of like, "Good work, boy, and you are in so much trouble." I had to blanket up and take my keys downstairs where he was waiting. He put a lock on the liquor cabinet after that. I also have shared that look with my father. He took my car for a week, but took me out for a steak dinner that night. That's my boy, but you broke the rules. Hooked up with a cougar from the bar at which I worked. Woke up the next morning to sounds coming from the kitchen. She says it's her son. For some reason she also mentions he's starting a new job that day. I say a brief hello to him as I leave the house. Guess who showed up at my work for training later that day? For some reason she also mentions he's starting a new job that day. She knew. I should have mentioned I was working 2 jobs at the time. The bar was my night job. She had no idea where I worked during the day. My day job was where her son showed up. I wake up to him saying it. My dad wasn't supposed to come home so early. I had just thought he lived with roommates. He tells me to jump in his closet. I'm fully nude and my clothes are in the living room. I start to argue, but he insists, and so I get in there and hear them having small talk for almost an hour. I realize I really have to pee, and they just drag on and I'm dancing around. And then the guy I slept with left for work. And I can hear the dad making breakfast and just settling in. I panic. How am I gonna get my clothes? Frick my clothes. I'll use his clothes. So I take the stuff in the closet. All I found were shirts. I fricking ran for my life full speed through the house with X hair and a long shirt to my car. The dad yelled, "What the damn hell, who are you? Holy it, how could he just leave you there? Frick it." At that point I would have strolled out, grabbed my clothes, told the dad I spent the night with his son the night before, and casually left. If the guy's just gonna bail on you, then frick him. And there is the matter of my payment. It's $800 for the night. Your son said you would square things up. Why, yes, I'll accept a blender as partial payment. She woke up and said she wanted to marry me and have kids. My friend told me this story. That friend of him had a one-night stand while being completely drunk. They both slept naked. The next morning, he wakes up and wants to go to the bathroom. He then notices he is in that girl's bed while they were both asleep. Now, still completely drunk, he has to think about getting out of that situation smooth. He could have just ran away, but instead he decided to gently push that girl into his it. He then cleaned himself and left. Just imagine that girl waking up, remembering she had a one-night stand. Then she notices the it she's lying on and thinks she has to be the one who shat in the bed, and the guy must have ran away in disgust. Sorry for the English, I'm German. He gave her the old Minnesota memory foam mattress. The old Massachusetts muck and run. Didn't happen to me. My friends and I get a ski house every winter. Every now and then there are some friends of friends that bum a weekend, etc. It's all good though and everyone gets along fine. Have never had a problem. This one weekend, a couple of new guys show up, and all they can talk about is drinking and getting laid. One hygienically challenged overweight obnoxious dude cannot stop bragging about his unbroken streak of getting laid on ski weekends all over the nation. I forget the number, but he claimed it was something like 45. We'll call him Pete. Anyway, a bunch of us go out to our favorite bar. About 30 minutes into it, Pete and the new kids show up. All you heard throughout the night was, "Hi, my name is Pete." Pete must have hassled every single female in the place regardless of age, race, sexual orientation, or religious beliefs. I don't think I ever saw anyone more utterly turned down by so many women in a single evening. But the guy had no shame. He gave no fricks about how publicly pathetic he was being and how much he was pissing the women off. Around 1 AM, me and my friends get up to leave. Outside the bar is this particularly obese young girl barfing up what seemed like a month's worth of hastily chewed up food. We all turn away and start walking to our car. A couple of seconds later, I hear, "Hi, my name is Pete." We all swing around in crazy disbelief thinking, no freaking way. But there he is, Pete, just standing next to the newfound love of his life and a puddle of reeking chunky vomit. None of us could contain ourselves. Next thing you know, Pete and Puke Girl get into her car and drive away. Pete's two friends are nowhere to be seen. My friends and I are laughing our asses off on the way back to our ski house, until we pull up on the driveway. Puke Girl's car is right smack in the middle of it. There are two couples' bedrooms in the house, and one big ass room with a bunch of beds that me and my friends crash in. And the two couples who are with us are livid as we storm the house to throw them the frick out before they get busy. Too late. And they took the big ass room. All you could hear was the loud stupor of their drunken ex. None of us wanted to go in there. We all sleep in the living room and various places on the floor. The next morning I get up, and a very hungover Pete is sitting in the kitchen drinking coffee. He looks up at me and says, "Voot Tater, can you go in the bedroom and check something for me?" I ask what? Can you check to see if she's ugly? I gleefully recount the whole sordid story in graphic detail. By the time I'm done, Pete is looking like he's about to slit his wrists. Ah, yes, the shotgun method. With a large enough spread you're bound to hit something. I know a friend of a friend like that, but he's skinny and not named Pete. Apparently he has moderate amounts of success as well. After my first night with my eventually ex-husband, he rolled over and asked Jennifer, did we have sex last night? My name is not Jennifer, should have run at that point. 0 out of 10 for observation on that guy. Hooked up with this super hot chick at a festival. She lived near, so she insisted we go back to her house. After an entire morning and almost afternoon of loud crazy X 4 hours, I decided to go downstairs for a drink. Turns out she didn't live alone like she said, but she lived with her 2 brothers, both of whom looked like they had been on the juice. I casually had to continue my stroll to the fridge shirtless, then introduce myself. They both jump off the couch and try staunch me, asking who I was and where I was from. She then came downstairs and introduced me, and then asked them to drive me home. Being the older sister, they had to say yes. Being super far from home, I had to oblige to the offer. I got a lift with the brothers of the girl I had just fricked the life out of all night. Did you drink juice straight out of the carton? Look at me. This is my juice now. What the frick is juice? I want some purple drink.